Right.
So, Dave, what other examples come out to you in terms of just known tactics that Pineda seems to have in place?
Well, you and I have discussed that one of the things that we do 100% know about tactics is we do know what the starting lineup is, right? And as we'll get maybe to later on the tactical board, Miguel Berry is not an MLS player. He is absolutely not. I mean, he originally started at Columbus, was his first MLS job. He had 3 seasons there, mostly 2 seasons. He scored 2 goals one year. He scored 8 goals. That was obviously his key moment. They dropped him even after that, which says something. They dropped him. He was at USL. Then he went to DC United for a minute. He never really played there. They dropped him to the USL. And we picked him up for God knows what reason. And
we're only paying like $100,000 a year. He's on the low spectrum. So, Dave, you want
to go right to the tactical board? You want to see exactly where he's going?
No, I want to talk about,
but I have something else if you want.
Yeah, just the fact, right, that Miguel Berry, he's not MLS ready. God, where was I going with this? In terms of why he's playing him, I was mentioning, I don't know if you said it, that wasn't he targeted by Pineda or influenced to be maybe some value?
I was the one who sort of started that rumor, and we don't know for sure.
Okay, so we don't know.
But the reason why I started that is because as we were waiting on new signings, we were trying to find a striker, right? And we knew that we didn't have a striker. Joseph had already left, and it was like, whatever. And Pineda talked about how he had a couple people coming, right? And he said he was particularly excited about a player. And it turned out to be Berry, clearly, because one of the things he said about him is that he was really tall and whatever. And you might say that's also true of Papa Giorgio, but this was before that. And he said specifically, we're really excited about Berry because he's very physical, very tall, the kind of striker that I like to play with. And I mentioned this on the podcast because I was like, who as a professional coach just likes a player because they're tall?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because tall is good. It
goes back with identifying
Mm-hmm.
talent, right? And it does sound like, even just hearing the pre-conference with Pineda today before the Chicago game, they're asking about preparing for the replacement for Araujo, and Doug Roberson was asking some questions. I don't know if he's playing coy or not, but he certainly acted as if Boca makes almost all those decisions and will bring the opportunities to him, and they collaborate on it. But Boca goes and scouts it all and then says, hey, here are your options for striker. And maybe you're right. Maybe Boca thought maybe that Berry had something left in the tank from DC. Shows him, hey, we can get this guy for $100,000. And he's like, yeah, I like him. He's big, tall, has the profile I'm looking for. Let's go with him. So what else?
What I want to say is that, we've had a series of players who had a lot of promise. Araujo is the last of these players to come and go. He's not gone yet, but he's gone. And the thing that I want to say about that is that obviously Boca Negra may make the call. We don't know. Gareth Lagerwey presumably is making the call now, but whatever, whoever's making the call, there is no way that if we loved what the team was doing, and or even if Pineda was like, this is a guy I really wanted to keep, that they would even be entertaining offers. Right? I mean, now it may be a case where they got a sudden out of the blue big offer and they were like, we would want to take that. But if Pineda really, really wanted to keep him in the middle of the season, like, for example, if we go back to Al Marone, right, in our title winning season, right? If somebody had come to us and said, I would give you $13 million for Al Marone, right, in the middle of the season, he has to leave now, there is zero way Tata or the management would have let him leave, because they're like, he's an integral part of it. Now you might say, well, Araujo's not that, but my point is that Pineda has to at some level sanction him going from the team in the middle of the season. You don't see players who are in the coach's favor leaving the team in the middle of a season. Just doesn't happen.
No. Also, back on the topic of Berry, right? So how many starts has he gotten? He's gotten a lot of minutes. And Dave, you were telling me his stats. Give me Miguel Berry stats.
So he's played some 500 minutes more, 530 minutes, something like this. It's over 5 games worth of football. A number of them have been starts. In the entire time, 526 minutes, he has 2 shots, 0 on goal.
How many assists does he have?
0.
And even just like average Joe, right? Like, does anyone have anything positive to say about the game? We talked about this before, but it is unbelievable. I don't think he's been offside yet.
No. And, it's funny because some people, one option that they had, so we've talked about that it doesn't have to be a striker, right? You can go with a false 9. There are other possibilities. You could have played Araujo and Etienne and Wiley, for example. But even if you're 100% like, I have to have a prototypical striker. If you look at Machop Chol, who a lot of people are saying, oh, he's no better than Berry. He is better than Berry, even statistically. I mean, he's only played like 100 minutes.
Oh, when he's on,
scored. Already, that's better. He hasn't done really well.
No, correct. But I've already seen Machop Chol come on for Berry. And within 5 minutes, you're saying his name. He's involved in the attack.
Yeah.
It's positive, right? Like, is it amazing? No.
We're talking so much about Berry. Can I go on the tactical board? I just think this would be hilarious.
Yeah. Get over there, Dave.
Let's get you
Hold on. She's going to set you up first, though.
Board.
Yeah.
Come on over, though.
Tactical board. For the listeners, this is where we are favoring the YouTube audience and have a pretty cool board that we go to where Dave is moving some players around in different situations and really helps kind of bring to light what we're seeing and what the pros and cons are. So Dave, what you got? Get that mic next to your mouth too. Don't be shy.
Okay, to be fair, I'm not going to show you anything earth-shattering here. Although we can go back to things. I do have some tactical things I can say, but here's the thing. And we have to replace Yakamakis with Berry. So I'm going to show you, and forgive me for a second because we should have probably had this more queued up, but I can do it in 2 seconds. So I'm moving the whole team playing against us up the field, and Berry's playing as the striker. For those of you who are not on the YouTube channel, basically the team we're playing against is up the field. And in this scenario, we're going to be trying to play out of the back, right? So I kid you not. I literally watched him for 10 minutes, just him at the stadium on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Right. And we had the ball between Parata and Miles in the back. It was maybe slightly up the field from here, a little outside the 18. And actually, these guys are switched. But I kid you not, I want to show you this. So Miles has the ball here, right? Berry's up here. And he dropped and he made one of those, if the ball's in the middle of the field, Mikey Dobbs, you make these like, this run where you drop a little bit and then you try to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So Miles Robinson is 40, 50 yards from him up the middle. So let's say that Miles Robinson can somehow hit this 60, 50-yard ball.
Yeah.
It's straight up the middle, right? So there's no angle for him to do it. So he's got to take it coming over his shoulder, right? And if he somehow manages to bring it down, is Berry ever going to be able to run off to the goal from there?
No, just send him into
no
man's land.
What in the world? Whoever coached him when the center back has the ball that you should be looking to run off the last defender on the line, try to beat the offsides trap with your pace. Even with Erling Haaland, you would never do that.
Yeah.
Because no way you want that ball being delivered from 50 yards. And he did this over and over. He walked back. He was here. He was offside a lot of times. Then he finally got onside. We won the ball somewhere in, and he was like, oh, this is what I've been told. Coach wants me to make the run. So he just did this. He just did this curly Q run. He went, oh, he's offside or whatever, and he came back, and then he did this, and then he stood.
He's got good movement, is what you're saying.
It was unbelievable. I mean, you saw on Twitter, there was a heat map of him, and it was a huge blob because he just stands. The moment that Papa Giorgio came on for him right here, he dropped a little bit off here. We scored the first goal right after he came on. Mm-hmm. There was a ball played to him, and he laid it, on a curly ball right off to Almada. If you're the striker, that's what you're trying to do. You got to come help the team get up the field. You are not looking as the slowest striker we've ever had to try to run by someone when we are playing at our own 18 with a 50-yard ball over the top. That is asinine.
And can I hit the fire button for yourself there? But
he's heating up. He's on fire.
But also, in terms of urgency and intensity, if he's looking at his options and urgency and intensity is a problem, what have you been seeing in Miguel Berry on game day that says urgency and intensity? This guy, does he have any pride for his future in soccer?
I have no idea.
In the beginning of this Charlotte game, okay, the first 3 minutes, right? Lennon got the ball down here, okay? And, to prove to you that we have this airplane tactic, it was in the first 3 minutes of the game. Lennon got across. He got all the way down there, and he actually crossed it to Gutman, Gutman was at the far yard in the 6-yard box. So this took a long way, and we're not going to move all the other players. But if this happens, who would you think would be also fighting for that cross?
Maybe our striker.
Miguel Berry. Miguel Berry was standing with his hands on his hips here. In the first 3 minutes of the game, our left back was further in the box than he was.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, we're in the box. Lennon's going to serve it. It was a perfectly laid ball to him. Everybody in the entire universe knows Lennon's going to whip in a ball.
Yeah.
Go attack it, right? And he stood and watched.
He's invisible. He's
invisible.
Absolutely invisible.
It's worse than invisible. Like, who actually taught this guy how to play soccer?
I don't know. I watched it. I watched closely the other game. I mean, he's just, like you said, he was just going in circles up top. Like, it was like, what is he doing?
Who looks for a through ball from our center back for 50 yards when you're not fast? Who doesn't get in the box when Lennon is about to serve it and everybody knows it's crossing as the sole striker on the team?
So what do you think Pineda sees in him? Like, can we guess? Can we? Yeah. I mean, like, what could it possibly be?
He sees that he's tall.
All right. That was some tactical board action